Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all of the praises and the glory to the Most High and His Son, Yahweh Bashmi Awashah Bahashem Rakah Hakwadash. Double honor to the head apostles of the great millstone that taught us this truth, and as well as the bishops and Yahweh Bashmi Awashah Brakatham to the 140 and 4,000, and including the 1/3, which is overall the elect. And the title of this lesson is going to be off of John 15 and 19. If you were of the world would love his own. And this is just going to be a lesson which would be probably a basic one at that, but still can be edifying indeed. And I just want to just build on this right here, this scripture, in saying that of course, especially for you young brothers that are newly coming into this thing, taking this thing more seriously, and you're finding out that you're Israelites now, and your walk is different from how you used to be back with your relatives and the people that you used to grow up with. You're looking different from these individuals now, and because of that, now you're going to begin to face resistance along the way. And it could either mean that you might get into some verbal altercations, or it could be physical, it could be a fight or whatever, or you could be probably a very, very young man that's just getting himself together to get your own place or get your life together just in general. And then all of a sudden, because one of your relatives knows that you're a part of this thing, he or she doesn't want nothing to do with you no more. They want to kick you out, so that you wind up having to suffer homelessness and what have you, which is nothing more than a test for you to go through. All right? So I want to read this again. But because ye are not of the world, but I have chosen you out of the world, and therefore the world hated you. So now you have to face the chastisement of the Lord, which is a good thing, because it just indicates to you that you've now received a welcoming into the truth, okay, as to who you are and what the world is. The world that you thought is no longer the case anymore. Okay, but what I want to really bring to your attention is the term world in the book of John 15, which really denotes to the nation as a whole of Israel. And it also works in the opposite. Let's just say you were once upon a time in the world of the elect, or in the truth, and then you leave that. Guess what? The brothers in the truth are no longer going to see you as a brother anymore. Now you're looked at as an infidel. And people may say, well, that's kind of wrong to do that. Well, it's not wrong when it happens in the opposite way, does it? So it's the same thing. That's just how nature has it. Once you become separate from a particular party or group, that group no longer recognizes you anymore, whether it's the group concerning your family or your friends. All right? So again, if you are an individual where you once upon a time among the holy men of the Lord, but then you denied the faith and fell back into the world, then the world of the elect will no longer recognize you either. And what tends to happen is that the people of the world tend to be welcoming to you with open hands. And this usually happens too. Like, you can get a guy that may fall out of GMS, does his own thing for a while, and then all of a sudden he got a whole new host of fans that's backing him. And it's not the right kind of people, because they're none of the elect. They're just basically Israelites that know they're Israelites, but they're just on a very basic level, and they're not really that serious, because a lot of the times they basically watch the lessons that we do for entertainment. Okay, so that's the kind of crowd that you're going to gravitate to you, because you become likened unto them. As the saying goes, birds of a feather flock together. That happens on the right hand side, and as well as it happens on the left hand side. Let's read on. So this reads in verse 20, remember the word that I said unto you, the servant is no greater than his Lord, and if they have persecuted me, they will also persecute you. And if they have kept my sayings, they will keep yours also. Exactly. So again, I'm going to say this too, because I've mentioned this before when I was out and about with a particular brother. And you got Israelites out there that really think that they can use this truth by itself and think they can be admired by this, when in fact the world of Israel does not really admire what we do, because 2,000 years ago Yahweh Shai was not admired for the ministry that he was pushing among the multitude of our people. So as John's putting it, which all of these things, these words are written in red. So this is Yahweh Shai telling you, based on his experience, that the majority of his nation denied him because he wasn't of the majority. He wasn't doing the things that the majority of his nation was doing. He was moving differently. Okay, so if you take on Yahweh Shai, if you decide to take on Yahweh Shai, then guess what? You're going to face the same obstacles and oppositions that comes with it. But if you don't think that, then that means you haven't really been paying attention in terms of reading the scriptures correctly. Okay? So you got to expect these things. So now let me go back up a couple of verses and let me read John 15 and verse 15. Henceforth I call you not servants. Verse 14. Ye are my friends if ye do whatsoever I command you. Verse 15. Henceforth I call you not servants, for the servants knoweth not what his Lord doeth. But I have called you friends, for all things that I have heard of my Father I have made known unto you. Right. Verse 16. Ye have not chosen me, but I have chosen you and ordained you that ye should go and bring forth fruit. And here's the kicker. And that your fruit should remain, that whatsoever ye shall ask of the Father in my name, he may give it you. So if the fruit remains, and obviously that fruit, which is the individual, the person which comes into the knowledge, is the elect. Now if the fruit fall away, is that your fault? No. That individual was never really a part of the elect, because you can be chosen, but it doesn't mean, you can be called, but it doesn't mean you're going to be chosen. Yes, so Salaki, I'm going to read this again. This is Matthew 22 and verse 14. For many are called, but few are chosen. So that's self-explanatory. So anyone can get called into this truth. Anyone can accept this knowledge and take hold of it. Right? But guess what? Are they of the elect? This is the point. And through time and action is going to demonstrate that whether they're of the elect or they're not. Okay, so now let's go and get let's go back to the book of John 15 again, and let's read some more of this. As a matter of fact, you know what? No, let me go and read this now. Let's get this. Luke 6. In verse 32. We'll begin by reading verse 31. And as ye would that men should do to you. Let's begin by reading 30. Give to every man that asketh of thee, and of him that taketh away thy goods, and ask them not again. And as ye would that men should do to you, do ye also to them likewise. Verse 32 now, which is the point. For if ye love them which love you, what thank have ye? For sinners also love those that love them. And if ye do good to them which do good to you, what thank ye? For sinners also do even the same. And that's exactly right. Because it's who you are, which is going to determine who you're drawn to, or who you're going to draw to yourself. As it is written in the Apocrypha, that all flesh consorteth to his own kind. So if you're an individual where you're in the world, guess what? You're going to walk with the world. If you're an individual in the truth, you're going to walk with the members that are in the truth. Okay? So let's just use an example. Let's take an individual that was once in the truth, or was once a part of a holy communion, and then left that holy communion and left the faith altogether. Right? And decided to move unilaterally. Guess what? He's going to draw people that are of the world. Because he is now become likened unto the world. Alright? Vice versa, when one leaves the world, they become separate. They become enemies of the world. And the word that it's talking about in the book of John, to be exact, is Israel. Just like Paul put it, you have the Israelites of God, and you have the Israelites that are just plain old Israelites. All right, so now let's move somewhere else. 2 Corinthians 6 and verse 14. Be ye not unequally yoked together with unbelievers, for what fellowship have righteousness with unrighteousness, and what communion have light with darkness? Exactly. And what concord have the anointed with Belial, which is another way of saying Satan? Or what part have ye that believe with an infidel? And what agreement have the temple of the Most High with idols? Exactly. So it's just basically breaking down that you can't be associated with individuals that are not into what you're into. Okay? Brothers that are in the truth cannot associate with infidels, because there's going to be some kind of a clash. So the best thing to do is to be around the brothers that are just like yourself, and that way you keep the peace. So let's read some more of this. For ye are the temple of the living power, and the Most High said, I will dwell in them and walk in them, and I will be their power, and they shall be my people. Wherefore come out from among them, and be ye separate, save the Lord, and touch not the unclean thing, and I will receive you. And what is the unclean thing? See, the Lord, through his men and his prophets, the Lord through his men actually calls the 2/3 of his own people unclean. So you got to separate from the heathen, because our people are basically likened unto the physical heathen itself. Okay? So even the term heathen, and as well as even the term unclean, could be applied to the rest of our nation. So again, I say, we want to be in conjunction with the right kind of people. We want to get the love from the right kind of people, which proves that we're doing the right thing. We're in the right spirit. Okay? So now let me go and get something else here. Let's get the book of Sirach 13 and verse 15. Every beast loveth his like, and every man loveth his neighbor, and all flesh consorteth according to kind, and man will cleave to his like. What fellowship have wolf with the lamb? So the sinner with the godly. What agreement is there between the hyena and the dog? And what peace between the rich and the poor? I'll be right back. I'm back again. Yes, so now I'm going to might as well just read this again. This is Sirach 13 and 15. Every beast loveth his like, and every man loveth his neighbor, and all flesh consorteth according to kind, and a man will cleave to his like. What fellowship have the wolf with the lamb? So the sinner with the godly. What agreement is there between the hyena and the dog, and what peace between the rich and the poor? And that's pretty much the deal. So when you are in the truth, people ain't going to look at you the same, especially the people that you grew up along with, and as well as it happens in the opposite way as well. When you are in the truth and you leave the truth and you wind up basically separating from the Holy Communionship and wind up moving unilaterally, or you basically detach yourself from the faith in totality, now the holy men of the Lord potentially can't look at you the same anymore. You are now an outsider in this case. All right? You're no longer likened unto the men who you fellowship with. So this works on the right hand as well as on the left hand side. So just like I said, we want to be brothers that are in the right spirit to attract the right kind of people, and that we want to be around the right kind of people, so that we can receive the right kind of recompense. All right. So yeah, that's all I'm going to bring about right there. All flesh consorteth according to kind, and man will cleave to his like. So there you go. Now let's go and get the book of Psalms, verse 1. Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful, but his delight is in the law of the Lord. And in his law doeth he meditate day and night. And he shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water, that bringeth forth his fruit in his season, and his leaf also shall not wither. And whatsoever he doeth shall prosper. The ungodly are not so, but are like the chaff which the wind driveth away. And therefore the ungodly shall not stand in the judgment, nor sinners in the congregation of the righteous. For the Lord knoweth the way of the righteous, but the way of the ungodly shall perish. And like I said, that happens, man. Like, look at Judas Iscariot. Judas Iscariot was among the righteous, and he was the unrighteous, but eventually he got found out to be what he was supposed to be in the very end. Yahushua knew what he was supposed to do. So at times, you know, you might have a situation where you might have an individual that may not be of the elect, but he's also a part of the group of the elect. Just like the scripture says in the book of, Matthew 13, where it mentions that let the wheat and the tare grow together. Meaning you're going to have wicked Israelites and righteous Israelites grow together. And as time happens, time basically tells the truth of who's who at the very end of the day. Okay? So yeah. So now, let me read verse 4 again. It says, for the ungodly are not so, but are like the chaff which the wind driveth away. And therefore the ungodly shall not stand in the judgment, nor sinners in the congregation of the righteous. For the Lord knoweth the way of the righteous, but the way of the ungodly shall perish. Now, as well as David said in verse 3, and I might as well just read this again, because I want to speak on something as well. And he shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water, that bringeth forth his fruit in his season, and his leaf also shall not wither, and whatsoever he doeth shall prosper. And that's exactly the truth, because if you look at the brothers that are in the truth, whether they're in Great Millstone or whether they teach exactly what Great Millstone teaches, and they're in the right kind of spirit, the ministry prospers, as well as they prosper with the Holy Spirit. And then you have different members that come in, the right kind of guys that will come in at the last end, and the ministry therefore becomes prolifically great. Okay? So yeah, the righteous eventually will prosper, but those among our people that are wicked, they're only going to but last so long when it's all said and done. They can't last forever, because the difference between the righteous and the wicked, the righteous, they live according to truth. The wicked live according to a lie. So just like how a lie only but goes but so far, as well as the ways of the wicked, it's the same. Okay, so that's all I'm going to say on that. Let's go and get the book of Proverbs 11, verse 21. Let's begin by reading verse probably 20. Now, I'll just get to the point. Let's read this. This is Proverbs 11 and 21. Though hand join in hand, the wicked shall not be unpunished, but the seed of the righteous shall be delivered. And just like I mentioned, you want to be joined onto the right kind of people. Okay, you don't want to be joined onto individuals that ain't fucking right, because eventually you will be guilty by association when they go off. Okay? So that's just how it is, man. That's all I have to basically go into right here. You know, it's a beautiful thing that the world hates us because it hated Yahushua, and it just means that we're on the right platform and everything else. So yeah, you know, with that, we want to give all of the praises and the glory to the Most High and His Son, Yahweh Bahashem, Yahushua Bahashem Rakah HaKodash, and hopefully you've seen something in this lesson as well. So with that, I'm out. Shalom.